Since crude oil was discovered in the library, and just last night, funny, I was watching the movie Library, and while I watched it, I could feel from what I saw on TV, the exploitation, the corruption, the pain, the fact that the people were faced with stark reality. That's the oil company executives, when they finally had an executive come later on to Oloibiri in the movie, and he was kidnapped. But then they showed the militancy, they showed the fact that we had people who had died from pollution of the water, people who had died from several other preventable illnesses if the government and the people who came at the beginning were sincere. You talked about a generation before, the fact that Buhari had lived about 3 generations, but in the movie it reminds us of a generation that was in the 1950s when they were men, and when they went into these agreements in the 1950s when let me use Bielsans, when Ijos, Bielsans, Ogbia men and the rest met with these oil companies, and they introduced the idea of a gold of better times, of how their people will be employed. Unfortunately, those people ended up being cooks, gardeners, and all of the lower Kenya. But then let's get through with your book, The Oil Thieves. Can you give us an idea of what really runs in the oil industry in Nigeria and the fate of the communities that produce this oil?
Yes, the Nigerian state, as far as the oil industry is concerned, is a gang up against the oil producing communities and peoples, unfortunately. And this gang up has been on for 70 years. And it has made the oil producing communities to suffer so much, so that today, for those of us who are still alive, we seem to be an aberration of what we ought to be, our usual selves as Ijos, for example. And that is very fundamental. You cannot have an industry at your backyard, in your village, pipelines passing in between your legs, pipelines appearing to be your national assets, your national monuments everywhere. And then you are buying petroleum products for higher than the normal price. Do you know in Bielsa, apart from the few petrol stations in Yenagoa, and perhaps one floating petrol station somewhere, everybody else buys petroleum products for higher than normal pump price. And that has been on from time immemorial. Because you have to buy with jerrycan, isn't it? Yes. So when you buy with jerrycan, you sell in jerrycan and so on and so forth. You're buying at a higher price. Everywhere else in this country, the government ensures that either they use pipelines or they use trucks to truck this produce or product to them in those remote areas for them to buy at normal pump price. But here in the creeks, we buy at a higher price. 2, the creeks are also almost deliberately polluted by the oil industry without any attempt at remediation. Now, so when you pollute my creek, I will not have the fish I used to have. So my source of livelihood will be destroyed. When you pollute the wetlands, I won't be able to farm as I used to farm. Again, my source of livelihood is destroyed. So essentially, you incapacitate me. So I become broke. And then you have every reason to ensure that I do not have an employment, I do not have access to that oil and gas business. And so I become what people would define as a victim of the oil industry. Now, the riddle of the oil thief is written because we want people to see the facts. Most persons, including those who have very high education, still do not understand this grand con game. It's a grand con game where international players in collaboration with most persons, like part of the government of Nigeria, who themselves are victims, to make us worse victims. So, as a matter of fact, the arguments are that if you see a young boy today in Bielsa, maybe stealing phones, you want to say, natif, in thief my phone. Okay? But how many persons that are trained and groomed properly will go and steal phones? Are you getting the point? How many persons that were brought up properly will go and steal phones? None. Not likely, except someone who was born with a genetic deficiency or something. Otherwise, everybody that is properly groomed will behave properly. And then so you're properly groomed, you also have a proper source of livelihood. You're not likely to degenerate to the point of going to steal phones. Now, someone is stealing phone because by the way they've run all of these, the economy has degenerated. What I used to eat as a primary school boy in those days, in the 70s, is what the permanent secretary cannot afford today.
I would like to understand that. What exactly?
What I mean is
the quality of the food that was
yes,
given you.
the quality of food I used to eat in my primary school.
Who provided that? Was it the government?
My parents now.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're saying that the economy is now too difficult for parents to.
Of course.
Feed their
In
kids.
those days, but you know that in those days, a brand new car was for about 1,000 naira of those days. Okay.
A 3-bedroom flat went for 8,000 naira.
Okay, so you said it all. So now it is such that if as a boy I was able to eat normal, and then now as a man I can't eat normal. Can't you see how low I've come? But that is not really it. So what I'm saying here is that the way the country is, or the way the world has done this particular business, they have made the victims of the business to appear like the people who are causing trouble. Are you getting the point? So you now see us, the Niger Delta people, like the Nembe, this thing where you say it's the sabotage. If it is sabotage, who is the saboteur? You must produce him. Because you have the police, you have the JTF, you have the military, you have the Nostra, you have the everything. You are the chief security officer of the country. And the oil business, you took it over from us in 1969 via Decree 51. You made it an exclusive preserve of the federal government. Okay, thereby depriving the Niger Delta people of their own natural resource. So you take it over and you are managing it. And so if you are managing it and someone has sabotaged it, you must bring the saboteur. You cannot do it and just say sabotage and then you just go and relax. That is the language of oil thieves and oil thievery. So they have used that to more like deceive, to the point where even you and I are inclined to believe in that you are actually an oil thief. It be like say this thing I do now crime through. Okay? Meanwhile, the real criminal, the real oil thief has a golf course. Golf course. You know what the golf course is? Yes, a golf course in England. He has a whole street to himself in Frankfurt. He has a refinery in Durban. He has skyscrapers in New York City. That is the oil thief. Okay? But nobody looks at that man. The world too does not want to look at that man. According to somebody, in fact, that is not according to somebody. The truth is, every oil in this world has a signature, a stamp. So the oil from Bielsa is known as oil from Bielsa. Anywhere you see, those who know. Now you steal this oil from Bielsa. I don't know of any Bielsan that has a ship. At least no Bielsan youth has a ship. So you steal this oil, you take it to the Gulf of Guinea, you put it inside ship, fill it up, take it to, for example, England, okay, and it enters the British economy without the British government raising an eyebrow, because they need the oil to warm themselves in winter. They need the oil to run their electricity. So they pretend not to see. But they are co-conspirators and co-collaborators. Okay, so these are the real oil thieves. But I can tell you that every youth you see around, from this area is a thief. They say thief. And like I said, so that book was deliberately made so that let us see where it is itching and see why we are so broke, even though we are supposed to be wealthy people. Let us see that our poverty is not poverty per se, but is impoverishment, which means people have made us so. And we must break off or break out of this particular quagmire and become and live again. Right now we are living like ghosts. That is, we are being confined or made to live like ghosts. We must get out of it and begin to live normal again. Looking at your face now, I see the face of a ghost.
Now this is okay. So we're having a conversation with ghosts. That could be also another title, a conversation with ghosts.
Maybe that should be another book. Yes.
But you know, there's something about those who say they could not endure, and so they had to break pipelines. They had to go through and ensure that they get the thing that we say is in the pipeline. They had to go there to work for it, ensure that they take what is in the pipeline. You know, when we think about it like that, we ask that question: the youths, the young people, if they have chosen that they will go by themselves to take this oil, would they not be referred to as an oil thief also? Yeah, I understand the major thief lives overseas. The major thief also has his money that is invested and is taken from us. But these are the ones. Because I'm bringing this because of what's happening in River State, the suit. It said that, well, proper refining methods are not used, and as such, the environment is polluted. So, would the young man who goes into bullfire, for instance, who doesn't have a proper understanding of how to manage and then brings this upon us, is he not supposed to also be referred to as an oil thief?
That is a victim of oil thievery. That person you're talking, this group of people, persons you just described, are victims of oil thievery. It is because of what the oil thieves have done that these ones are now behaving the way they behave. A normal person will not do what these guys are doing. They are doing it out of ignorance. Again, when I was much younger, my father, for example, had what they call Standard 6. Standard 6 is supposed to be primary school certificate 6. Okay? But his capacity and his ability to write and communicate, if you want to value it today, will be like that of someone who has a PhD in English. And I know one particular old man who had to help his son while his son was trying to do his dissertation for law, you know, with the thesis. Because with Standard 6, what am I saying? Even education has degenerated so badly that you need to get to the university and perhaps get a master's degree before you begin to comprehend normal things today. That is how bad it has gone down. So if you prevent the people from getting education, and you also make the economy so bad, what you have created are victims that must survive so long as they are alive. Do you know what it means to go and be baiting carcinogens? If you know that this thing you are baiting is carcinogen, you won't do it. But you are baiting it because you have been removed. Someone has removed that essence from you that will have allowed you to understand that this is a bad thing. So the man who has pushed you to that wall that is making you react in this manner is the man that you should attend to. If you look at these small fries 1,000 times, then you are being stupid. Elsewhere, look at the way law enforcement is done. Okay? If you want to do proper law enforcement, you want to say Rhythm FM. People are coming to Rhythm FM every morning to come and steal phones. Okay? And you say, okay, so what do we do? So if you tell the police, do you know what they're going to do? They're going to study it. When they study it, they will now know that, oh, there are 100 children in Oxbow Lake, okay, motherless. They're just there, destitute, so to speak. And it is from there they are coming to Silverbed every morning to steal these phones. So do you know what will happen? They will recommend to government, build a school at Oxbow Lake that will occupy these 100 children. And once they build the school and they put them there and they feed them there, nobody comes to steal again. But Nigeria tends to want to say, okay, buy guns to the security at Rhythm FM to shoot these boys who are coming to what? Steal the funds. You can see the two angles, crime fighting and crime prevention. Nevertheless, I want to go a little more on the suit that you just mentioned. Now, the suit, yes, if you do pour fire because you don't have the right education and because the economy is so bad, okay, and you do pour fire, oh, well, bad enough, you're poisoning yourself, but do you really know? Have you looked at when the security agencies of Nigeria, okay, who are employed, there's no security agent that is not employed, isn't it? Who are employed, who are earning salary from the federal government, who have education, that's why they're employed. Some have bachelor's degrees, some have master's degrees, some have even PhDs, okay? You now go to a so-called pour fire point and you see 2,000 liters of petroleum products and you set them ablaze because you want to prevent pour fire. And you go to 1,000 of such places and set them all ablaze. Are you wondering why? With your education now, the air is getting black and you are still blaming the illiterate young man that is doing pour fire? So that is the suit. Stop burning these things. Go and ensure that these guys are arrested. And who is buying them? Vehicles all the way from all parts of this country come to Ahoda to congregate. Those long vehicles. Go there now, you see them. You see like 500 of them there. And they load this so-called pour fire product or produce and take them to everywhere else in this country. And they're using them to run all the machines. So where is the government of this country? Where is the federal government? You see why I said there has to be state police. There has to be state police because the federal government police is not able to do the job. But having said that, I come to somewhere. You don't seem to have read this book titled The Riddle of the Oil Thief, even though you have about 2 copies. There's a chapter that speaks to this, and the chapter on the secret of the pipeline. Okay? Now, in the secret of the pipeline, it will be nice for Nigerians to know, because if you know, you will understand where the problem is coming from. So I want to quickly just read a short excerpt. Let us examine some of the myriad of activities that follow a burst pipeline or a wellhead that is burst or blown or something, that are grossly unfairly blamed on the youths of the oil-bearing and facilities hosting communities. The actions taken to stop the leakage are by the oil company experts. True? True. Very good. The cleaning up of the spilled oil is carried out by an oil company contractor who secures the contract. True? True. Very good. The repair of damaged pipeline or damaged wellhead, as like in the Etio case, is done by an oil company contractor, not by Leishman, whose contracts are usually in multi-millions of United States dollars, often in the range of up to as high as $900 million. So they've spent good money there. And above, these companies are oil servicing companies. I don't know if you have one. Oil servicing companies belonging to the IOC executives. Okay? So this oil company, ATO workers, have their own companies. Shell workers have their own companies. That, you may find it a little difficult to trace it to them, but they've done it very cleverly. So cleverly disguised as foreign partnerships or those of their trusted proxies, okay, to earn these monies. So as the oil well 1 at Santa Barbara went bust, do you know what happened? Call Canyon Group, okay, to come and stop the well. Money is going there. Bring a badge, money is going there. Do this, money is going there. That is the way it is done. Now, the award of the above contracts involves the oil corporations and the federal government ministry, and that's Ministry of Petroleum, and regulators of the oil and gas sector, like NNPC, the replacement for DPR, the one they call NUPC, NUPRC.
Upstream and...
Yes, that one they call NUPC or whatever. National Petroleum Management Services, NAPIMS, and the likes. That's what is in the book. it is clearer whose interests a sabotage pipeline better serves. So in this thing I've read out now, if I go and bust a pipeline or bust a wellhead, whom have I enriched? Is it me or these guys I just read out? So you see why I do not have to go and bust a pipeline. Even if I have to go and bust a pipeline, I don't even have the expertise. First, I have to have worked in the oil company to know what to do. Do you know what is an Allen key? Allen key is something that is a purpose-built screw driver. Purpose-built. It must be specific for a particular bolt or nut. Okay? Now, most of these things have such type of things. It means that you must be in the industry. You must have that to be able to open it or gain access to it. Okay? So, it means that you have to be in the oil industry to be able to do this. And so, once this happens, for those of us who have studied it, we know who has done it and for why the person has to do it. Now, if assuming that Leishman has worked in the oil industry and I hire you to go and do that for me because I have my yacht somewhere, I have my private jet somewhere, I have my refinery in Durban, and I have my golf course somewhere, and I have some petrodollars with which to induce you, and I induce you to go and do it. You're a victim working for me, isn't it? So who should blame you? But even if they catch you, then yes, you should tell us who sent you. And usually the man who has sent whoever that goes to do whatever is usually not around the corner. So the oil, from what I've read, the oil industry itself, maybe the ATO group or the IOC or whatever, has a good reason to sabotage it. Because
than
when they sabotage,
locals.
huh?
More than the locals.
Why will a local go and sabotage what? Why has he not sabotaged it for the last 70 years? Why didn't he do it since? From here now, where is his gain now? This one now. Can't you see that there is no gain for him? The entire gain, cleaning up contract, is going to be awarded to an oil servicing company. Them. Abi, block valve, them. Bring badge, them. Abi, you get badge? Do you have a badge? You don't have a badge. So they are the ones who have everything. They know what they have. And so they instigate these things to happen.
So every sabotage benefits them and not
1,000 times.
community.
1,000 times.
So the ones that the boys do with Bofa is more like they just take it and...
They are victims of the process. That's what I'm saying here. And you must understand that.
While we've been talking, lots of calls have been coming in.
Let them keep calling.
when you land, I'll take a call.
So the truth is, the federal government of Nigeria that inaugurated what they call NOSDRA. Do you know what NOSDRA is? National Oil Spill Detection. No, not Response Agency.
Yeah.
Yes. The federal government did not deem it right to constitute or institute or inaugurate a National Oil Spill Prevention Act or agency. Okay, they are not interested in preventing. They are interested in coming to mop up when the oil is spilled. Do you understand me? Yes. So they do not care whether the oil comes into my nostrils in Barantoro or to Leishman's nostrils in Rhythm FM. They don't care because that process of having to attend to a spilled crude oil or spilled petroleum site brings them resources. If I am one of such big guys, once the place is spilled, do you know what happens? I give my girlfriend a contract. I give my cousin another contract. I give my uncle another contract. It's contracts galore. So everybody else is smiling to the bank. The only person who's not smiling to the bank are the people of Nimbe, who they say is now sabotage. Yes, I've landed for now.
Okay, 08038667664 is our phone number. My guest is ready to take your calls this morning. We still have 20 more minutes to discuss. It is a James Bond Friday, by the way, so please turn on the volume on your radio set. 08038667664 is our phone number. You send an SMS, you send a voice note on WhatsApp, or you're calling that number. Good morning to you. Good Good morning.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Lishman.
Welcome. You're
Good
live on
morning,
radio.
Your,
Yeah.
good morning, Your Royal Highness. My name is Ayibanoa Ambakidermo.
Okay.
I've been listening carefully. I want to take our minds back to a book written by Mark Celoin titled What Britain Did to Nigeria, A Short History of Conquest and Rule. Almost all what happened and what is happening now and what will happen, if you read that book, you will see how it started. The game plan to keep many ethnic nationalities in economic bondage. So I will insist, I will not just suggest, insist that the states should have state police. All the state houses of assembly should insist that there must be state police. Secondly, the right to bear arms for self-defense should be enshrined in the Constitution for responsible individuals, responsible
How do
citizens.
you tell who's responsible?
Hello?
Yeah, go on.
There should be background check for citizens who want to apply for arms. Because if citizens who are not armed can be oppressed with any type of law to deprive them of living their lives and properties. And citizens who are armed under the law, it will be difficult for either politicians of any type to impose laws even with the backing of foreign countries. So I will insist, apart from the state police, there should be provision for citizens to have a right to bear arms for self-defense, not only as individuals but groups. Thank you.
What's the name of that book again? Sorry.
The name of the book.
The title of the book is What Britain Did to Nigeria.
Yes, by who?
A short history of conquest and rule. If you read that book, it is very, very disturbing.
Okay, thank you.
How Britain used extreme violence and brutality to bring people together.
Okay.
And if you read towards the end of the book, a treaty that was signed will open your eyes why things have gone wrong, why things are going wrong, and why more terrible things will happen,
Thank
and
you.
how we can stop such things. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, in response to you, some of them I may not need to respond. You want all persons to bear arms. Now, if you read The Riddle of the Oil Thief, there's a chapter that is titled Militarization. If you read that particular chapter, you will see that in Nigeria, almost everybody is bearing arms except the law-abiding ones. So I do not have arms. Those who have managed to get licenses, once in a while they revoke the licenses. But because everybody wants to be like the military, almost everybody else they're seeing that walking the streets have one type of arm or the other, unfortunately. So about your request, perhaps if we get proper good governance, like you said, if we have state police and we are managing our own security, then some of these things may not be too necessary.
Well, you talk about the book, and I have a message here. Says, good morning, my name is Dr. Major Itemowe. Where can I get soft copies of the book on the Riddle of the Oil Thief?
Amazon.
Amazon?
Amazon has the Kindle version, which is a soft version.
Okay, so just
Amazon.
go to Amazon.
Just Google the title of the book, and then you'll find
The
it on
Riddle
Amazon.
of
the Oil Thief,
Oil
yes.
Thief.
So you can download that instantly, just one click away.
What is the cost? Is it because people would never, they'd be like, Amazon, they have to buy it, right? They
Of
have to
course.
buy on Amazon.
They want to get it for free?
I hope it is affordable.
No, it's affordable. It's very cheap. I think it's about $7 or something like that. Very little.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
But above that, I think we should stop craving for free things. Okay, we should actually pay the right price for everything we want to get. It's more dignifying than to put up and be begging for things you can afford.
Good morning to you.
Mr. Lishman, good
You're
morning.
live on radio.
Mr. Lishman, good morning.
You're live on radio. Go ahead. Good morning to you. We're responding to you. Go ahead. We're listening
It's
to you.
okay. King Taylor, sir.
Hello?
Yeah, Dr. Major is Mowe.
Okay.
I sat under you and this other man during the INC recently conducted a conference.
Okay. No.
In the subgroup under you. And I even told you that about the book.
Yeah.
So I think my suggestion is that I think the book is a little bit on the high side. So please, the price should refuse. I'm just begging.
How much is the book?
I think it's about close to 15,000.
No, it's about 10,000 only. We have brought it down.
10,000.
We have brought it down.
In the Bitare, I think it's more than what we are saying.
Go. That's a Bitare now. I can't control what they are selling now. I don't know where they even got it from. Go to Traditional Rulers Council and you can get it for lower. Yes.
Okay. Second.
Okay. Well, we're almost going into commercial on this one.
I know we'll come commercial.
So let's cut that conversation. He's already mentioned the name of somebody.
Okay. So let me read a little more.
Yeah, let's go. Yes.
Yes. So it is clearer. Just still that excerpt. It is clearer whose interest is sabotage pipeline better serves. It is the oil corporation. Oil corporation bigwigs. Oil corporation bigwigs. Foreign oil servicing contractors. Any other conniver and the government agencies responsible for regulating the sector, not any other person or group, not the youth whose environment is polluted and lives risked. They are often merely easy to blame, voiceless, expendable oil corporation tools. How would they have gotten the industry-specific foreign tools and the technical know-how, if not from the industry? Even when explosives are used, they have never been from local improvised explosive devices. They are oil corporation explosives made by Sir Alfred Nobel himself and no other, and brought out from their stores. The very explosives the oil corporations have used in seismic work. Do you understand? So there is no place in this state where explosives are manufactured. All the explosives, dynamites, are coming from the oil companies where they stock them for seismic purposes. So you not come and blame me. You carry gun, can't keep for your frontage. You say, oh, I don't carry gun, shoot bed. Did you keep it in your room? Did you keep it in the armory? Are you getting the point? So it's like you lure me into committing a crime because you know that once you give me these things, I will misbehave. And when I misbehave, you will be enriched.
We'll get to more calls. Good morning to you. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Lishman.
Welcome, Mr. James Bond Friday.
Yes, thank you very much. I also want to appreciate your guest in the studio.
Thank you. Thank you, man.
Yes, I just tuned in not too long ago. I just picked up the pieces. I think the basic concern here is about the Niger Delta, as well as we housing the oil that feeds the nation, as well as not benefiting in respect to the kind of sufferings we have. Once there is spillage, the ecosystem, we all suffer. Even though you don't get the oil coming to your doorstep, the entire atmosphere is filled up with the same thing, even though you can't see them physically, just like the soot thing you're talking about in River State. But I think recently, not too long ago, about a year or 2 years ago, our vice president came to the Niger Delta and he proudly promised us modular refineries. And I think that was a step in a positive direction in trying to control flaring and spillages, probably,
For instance, if you have licensed operators, modular refinery operators in the Niger Delta, maybe 5, 6 of them in Bayelsa State, those modular refineries wouldn't allow any other persons to operate. So in as much as they are licensed, they are trained to make sure they don't harm the environment, they will also ensure security in making sure other illegal persons don't come in to operate. I think that's a very good way in trying to curb these excesses of the oil nationals and probably the government, the federal government, in the sense that they don't feel what we feel as a people. Look at what happened in Nimbe there. It took more than necessary calls from here and there.
The environment itself, can we have an understanding of who suffers, how, and to what extent?
Yes.
Before
I go to the environment, let me quickly answer this guy a bit. You see, sometimes, because the 70 years of oil and gas is actually more than 2 generations. Yeah. So we have gotten so used to the impoverishment that we do not quite see where our problems come from. Our major problem is that our economy has been run aground. When I was a younger man in the 70s and 80s, no Nigerian will want to work in an oil company. Do you know that? No normal Nigerian will want to work in an oil company. It was a low-paying, dirty job.
Really?
Yes.
In the 70s?
Yes, 70s and 80s. A normal Nigerian will want to work in the Nigerian civil service, either state or federal, and not to work in a dirty oil company. Today, the oil company has become a gold mine because the economy is in tatters. And that should be the focus. So it's not about whether we are giving licenses to modular refineries or someone has just used his voice to want to earn a so-called political favorite position that he cannot quite execute. A lot of people just say things that they can't actualize. Because from the time Yemi Osibanjo said that to now, it's almost 3 years. Nothing. They just say vacuous verbalization or ventilation or something. Now, we are a big victim of environmental malaise that is caused by an industry that is poorly regulated, deliberately so. And automatically that has dislocated us. We are no longer having the fish the way we ought to. We are no longer having the crops the way we ought to. And of course, the government policies have also ensured that our children do not get the right type of education. What we want to call Afrocentric, contemporary education, functional education. So we have an education that looks like education. Okay?
It looks like it.
Yeah, it looks like it. So we're not able to properly use the education we get to make a change, because that's what education should be. Education should be such that when you get it, you are able to influence the environment and make it better. But if you get it and the environment is influencing you and making you worse, it means that you did not quite get an education.
Well, it is this environment that most young people have grown up, and they will grow up to become adults like you are. What can we do? The younger people who do not have access to basic health care, to proper education, and to the opportunities that exist when they finish secondary school most times, because it's very difficult to continue with university education.
So, they
were living in the same society with us.
So listen. So look at, we have a lot to do if we want to get out of this. First, we must get political leadership right. Okay? So we must not blindly support jackasses. We should support human beings that have what it takes, have something to offer. First point. We must participate in those processes. Very important. Now, having done that, as people from this area, okay, the environment is your life. How consciously are you ensuring that you do not, your response, having pushed to the wall, your response is not suicide? Because that's what we're doing. Yes, for those of us who have looked at it, we know that we have been pushed to the wall. Okay? And of course, when you push to the wall, you will bounce back. Now, but if by pushing you to the wall, because I want you dead, I say, okay, Leishman, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you. Does it mean that you have to take a hatchet or machete or ratchet and cut your neck? If you do that, you have made it easy for me, isn't it? If I say I'm going to kill you and I start coming towards the studio, if you get leg, you go run now. Your response will not be, okay, since he wants to kill me, let me kill myself. No. So what we are doing right now is more like trying to kill ourselves, okay, with all these other things, worsening our state of health, worsening our environment. But above all of these, can we please read? If we have basic capacity to read, because they say that if you have the capacity to read, the ability to read, you can read, and you do not read, you are as bad, as empty as the man who does not have the training to read. So if we read, we will understand those soft points, those small, the handwriting on the wall, we'll get it. Right now, most of us, as educated as we may be, are not quite getting it. So we are looking at superficial, argue superficially, and tackle superficial things. And then when we are given choices, we choose like idiots. It is not reflecting that you have deep reflection. So what I'm calling for is the Niger Delta man, the Niger Delta youth, the Niger Delta woman, the Niger Delta child, in spite of all the conditions that are, targeted at us, we must still find time to burn the midnight oil, look for the right material to read, and get enlightenment. That is what the world has to offer. Because today, if you have the right type of enlightenment, you can stay here and be making money across the world, isn't it? Yes, the world is globalized to the point where you can use your computer, your phone from here, and be earning dollars from somewhere else. So why limit yourself to your village, as per village politics, village this, profile, and all of those things? That is like the list of things. That is the worst way to react. So, admitted that the federal government has not in any way done what it is supposed to have done with respect to oil and gas. Like
not even with the PIA?
The PIA is even worse. The PIA is worse. The PIA we have now is an aberration from what it was intended to be. It is the PIA, that's why you're having sabotage now. The PIA says that the citizens, the Niger Delta people, must ensure that in their enclaves, there is no oil spillage, there is no wellhead blowout. You understand? There is no stoppage of work, which means you cannot even protest as a human being. And if any of these things happen, they just quickly say it's sabotage. Once they say sabotage, you get nothing. That is why they said it's sabotage. And some of us cried out last year, the year before, that this is the danger. What JTF has not been able to do for 22 years, is it the Nembe people that can do it? Is it the Foropa people that can do it? Is it the Ekwetima people that can do it? Something that people who are trained to do so, paid to do so, are not able to do in 22 years. Is it the youth that does not have the right education that can do it? So that is the game. So the PIA itself is a license to further impoverish the Niger Delta people, the oil producing people. That is legitimization of the stealing of oil.
Well, time is definitely fast spent. We have 3 minutes more before the news at 10 o'clock comes your way. But thank you to everyone who took out time to listen. And thank you for also coming through, Your Majesty. It was quite a short time, about 48 hours. And although there are other issues emanating from Mr. President's broadcast, but then that we can handle some other time. The news comes up almost at the moment. I have a caller on the line, right? You want to join the conversation? Good morning to you. You're the last caller, right?
Yes, thank you so much. I want to thank His Royal Highness Chief Dakolo, for, meticulously, tackling the issues of, environmental degradation and the continuous injustice, in the name of, blackmailing us, to accept what is not real. I am so glad because of his understanding, his background, as a son of the soil, and not only that, as somebody who is from oil producing area and has also been an activist in the just struggle. And that is why it is good that, people who are grounded, who are sound, who have knowledge should be put in the right position. So my contribution is appreciated for his contribution. Thank you.
Thank you, President John.
Thank you, Chief Onife Johnson, for joining us this morning by telephone. Right.
Thank you.
Okay. It's a James Bond Friday, and just like my guest has been able to surmount the challenges of life, we did not have to talk about the challenges that he's gone through because of time also, but just know that there is a story that he has also gone through.
A soldier.
It was a soldier.
That's the book.
It was a soldier in the Nigerian army, and he's seen a lot. Right, his book, The Riddle of the Oil Thief, is something that academics have suggested we should also reflect on, because there are topical issues in Nigeria, and it cuts across issues like the Niger Delta, feminism, development, religion, and you'd find it a good read. Okay, to that I say, whatever it is that you're doing, remember that, like the hymn says, you'll only be remembered by what you have done, because we will all fade away at some point. Now, before you fade away, another reminder, you will also, if you're in power, be remembered for what you did not do. Not just for what you've done, you'll be remembered for what you did not do. Thank you, Your Highness. Yeah.
Okay, thank you everyone for listening, and then Happy New Year. This is a brand new year. This is already day 7, and I would encourage everyone to start doing something. You better be starting something.
You better be starting something.
Yes.
You better be starting.
Yes, because the last year just passed, and I believe that some persons had resolutions but didn't quite follow through. And if you don't follow through, before you know it, it's another year. So do something, please. Let us start something.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right.